Hi guys, welcome to our channel. Today, we're discussing a movie in which a celebrity chef tries to escape the reality around him by escaping to his family estate in the woods for the weekend. Suddenly, the ghosts come to him to settle the score for the past events and make him enter a scary challenge. Check the title of the movie in the description. At the movie's beginning, a girl is seen in the desert with bruises and wounds on her body, and it seems that she is suffering from something. She takes the knife in front of her as if she is about to kill herself. Now, the same knife is seen in the hands of the famous and emerging chef Peter Rake. He's recording a TV show at his restaurant and then joins his 11-year-old daughter, Riley, who is walking the bar. He starts talking to Riley, tells her about his ex-wife's marriage, her mom, and assures her that nothing will change after this. He loves her and promises to take her to Darnell Park next week, but Riley wants them to go together tonight. Peter refuses and says he's busy, so it's clear he hasn't been able to communicate well with his daughter. After saying goodbye to her, he receives a call and says he is unavailable for the weekend and has to go out of town. It is seen that he is planning to go to his family estate in the forest for the next few days, thinking about his daughter along the way. He reaches a shop nearby, and after getting off, he sees a woman in her car who asks him for a lighter. Peter gives it to her, and after getting to know her a little, he sees a group of girls. One of them, who is remarkably beautiful, attracts his attention. Then, after entering the bait shop, he sees his high school classmate Lonnie, who is also attracted to girls. After some talk, he remembers him, and Lonnie says that his father died, and now he runs the store. Lonnie refers to his dead father as a bastard, just like Peter, who is not happy about his lost father. After a short conversation, Peter buys a pack of cigarettes, but Lonnie refuses to take the money. He asks him about his sister Gwen, and it seems that he and Gwen had a relationship in the past. Lonnie asks him to deliver his message to his sister. When he arrives at their family estate, he meets his sister Gwen 3 years after her father's death, and they embrace each other. Agnes, the palace servant with low vision, informs him that his father's room is now a bedroom, and he can rest there. After that, Peter shows his daughter's photo to Gwen and excites her. On the other hand, Gwen is a little upset with him because she hasn't heard from him and Peter hasn't shown himself. Peter explains that he has been divorced from his wife for some time. After some small talk about Lonnie, whom he just met, he informs her about him while Gwen emphasizes that she and Lonnie have never been more than friends in the past. Her phone rings, and a goat outside the house shocks Peter. After a short conversation with Agnes, he sees the goat is gone when he looks outside again. After ending the call, she informs him that she has to leave because of her job, and that 5 months ago, she became a judicial investigator, and is now working on an important case. Peter is happy to hear it and tells her they should celebrate it together, but Gwen explains that she can't now but will in the future. He says goodbye to her, and on the balcony, he sees a deer that can have a strange meaning for him. Then, the painting of a woman with dark eyes sitting on the ground makes him wonder and ask Agnes about it. She explains that his father painted this painting, which means the elegance of life. Peter tells her that she should show her eyes to the doctor for treatment, but she says there is no need and that her eyes keep her awake at night. After that, insects mysteriously shock him while washing the dishes, and the house phone rings. When he answers, he realizes Lonnie is behind the line and informs him that he just wanted to ensure he was okay. He compliments Peter on his TV show, says he's happy for him, and then hangs up. Strange things happen again, and Peter sees a napkin floating in blood in the toilet bowl in the bathroom, and he is scared. At the same time, there is a knock at the house, and he meets Kara, one of the girls he saw at Lonnie's shop. She says that their camp is having a problem and they need flashlights and candles, and since Peter doesn't know where these things are in the house, he invites her to come in so that Kara doesn't have to wait out in the cold. They talk, and Peter finds the things she needs and gives them to her. He follows her as she leaves as if he is interested in her. It can be seen that this night, Agnes sticks out her tongue terribly when she is alone, and tomorrow morning when Peter wakes up, he goes out for morning exercise. After a little run, he reaches a treehouse where he used to go when he was a teenager, and a troubled memory of that time is evoked in his mind. Now, a scary creature is installed on the door, which shocks him. At the same time, he suddenly realizes that Kara is calling him from behind. After greeting her, he explains that this treehouse was his and his sister's hangout in the past, where they used to come here every summer. A little later, Kara's friends, Marie and Elena, join them. After getting to know each other, Elena recognizes him and reveals he is the famous chef on TV. They leave them, and Peter invites Kara and her friends to join him for the evening and claims he will cook for her and her friends and make delicious food. She accepts this invitation from him, and Peter prepares himself for the party. Hours pass, and it's time for the party. Kara and her friend join him with Peter's warm welcome. Marie introduces her mother, Lilith. In fact, she is the same woman Peter gave his lighter to before, and after greeting each other, another one of them, Morgan, is attracted to the house to which she is invited. She praises it in front of Peter. On the other hand, the painting, which was drawn by his father and installed on the wall, makes Kara curious to ask Peter about it. Still, it is quite clear that he does not like this painting very much and even blames Agnes for not removing this painting yet. He introduces Agnes to the guests, who drink and spend time together at the table. Peter talks a lot about the dishes he specializes in cooking. After that, Lilith gives a beautiful speech about the child and the parents' expectations of the effort they will put into bringing that child into social life. Her friends and Peter admire her, and Marie is proud of her and expresses her love for her. A little later, Peter notices Kara's wrist tattoo and asks about it. It turns out that not only Kara but all the girls have that tattoo on their wrists, and Kara says it's a sign of sisterhood between the group members. When it gets dark, Kara plays the guitar for the others, and Peter prepares the chocolate cakes for the guests, but he is very drunk. While smoking, Agnes takes a bowl of soup out of the microwave and gives it to Peter to eat. Then, with the help of her, he takes the dessert with cream for their guests, and Kara asks Agnes to rest a little because she has been busy serving them all day. Agnes says that these things are past her, and she is older for it.
There was a time when it wasn't about choosing to be heard. How can you use something you were never given? In her. Starts on the inside, and then it becomes her skin, and she wears it till she dies, and that's that.
Peter offers them chocolate cakes garnished with strawberries, but they don't want to eat them now and say maybe later. While Peter is very drunk and not concentrating enough, he decides to go to his room, and before leaving, he tells them that they can stay here for the night if they want. After saying goodnight, he goes to his room and falls down on the bed in a daze. Due to the illusion, he sees his father's picture frame smiling and falls asleep. When he wakes up in the middle of the night, he sees Morgan on his bed next to him and is shocked. When he goes to the bathroom to wash his face, he imagines an insect there, but it is not there. He hears music from one of the house rooms and a strange sound, so by following that sound, he realizes that a peacock is in one of the rooms. He stops the music and, after that, suddenly sees a wooden scarecrow with blood dripping, so he leaves immediately in fear and returns to his room. Strangely, he sees that Morgan is not there, and a little later, several figures with strange clothes and horrible looks attack the house.
Morgan, something's wrong.
At the same time, Kara calls him and asks for help, but the room is locked, and as the aliens get closer, Peter loses control of his legs and falls unconscious on the ground. When he wakes up, he sees that he is tied to the bed, and Morgan is lying under the bed with a bloody lip. She wakes up, and alien spirits approach, and it turns out that Morgan is with them. Kara takes off her mask, and turns out that she was behind this incident. Morgan leaves the room, and Peter, paralyzed and chained, begs her to free him. Still, Kara calmly starts talking about her sister Rebecca. Someone who committed suicide years ago after being raped by Peter as a teenager. But Peter does not blame himself for her death and says that she died because of heroin. Kara remembers the time when she found her body in the desert and informs him that her sister committed suicide with a knife that he sells on his TV show, and believes that this decision was not accidental. Peter admits that it's about being a teenager. A moment later, Morgan puts a bow and arrow in front of his crotch, which Peter is terrified of. The rest of the group enters, and it is revealed that they are all witches who have come to punish him for his past misdeeds.
You angry bitches!
We're angry witches.
In addition to his role in the suicide of Kara's sister Rebecca, they threaten him for sexually abusing Lilith's daughter, which no one believed, as well as firing Elena's mother, who received unequal wages. Under a spell, Marie turns a snake into a bracelet around his arms and tortures him by scaring him. On the other hand, Elena and Morgan make him a woman's makeup, and after that, little by little, Peter feels that he can move his hand. At the right time, after opening his hand, he suddenly attacked Elena and Morgan and managed to escape. He immediately calls 911, but no one answers. He calls Lonnie and informs him about being kidnapped and tortured by some witches, but suddenly, Kara appears and hangs up. He is again surrounded by them, and finally Marie stops him and knocks him unconscious. Lonnie arrives, and Kara meets him outside. She explains that they were all having a nice dinner, but he doesn't believe her and gets suspicious. He takes out his gun, and at that moment, Agnes appears and asks him to go home. He leaves reluctantly, and at his mother's insistence, Agnes. It is clear from Agnes and Kara's conversation that Lonnie is her son from Peter's father's relationship with her. She wants Kara to come back and finish what she started. They imprison Peter in a cage, then after dressing him in women's clothing, Kara gives him 10 seconds to escape. He quickly escapes and takes refuge in the treehouse, only to find it decorated with photos and articles about his past crimes. After thinking about his past for a while, he sees the light of a car from the window and rushes out to see Gwen, who is apparently here to help him. He asks her to leave immediately, then tells her the whole story about being kidnapped and tortured by witches. Suddenly, she reveals that she made this request of them and explains to Peter that she had no choice, because he raped one of her best friends in the treehouse. Gwen says she had to believe him because he was her brother, but she knew fully that Peter was guilty. She reveals his other sins and angrily blames him until Peter accepts responsibility for his mistakes. At this moment, the witches blow the windows of the car with magic and pull both of them out of the car. Hours later, Peter wakes up at the dining table and sees that he is tied to the table and a nail is stuck in his hand, disabling him. The girls, who had their sisterhood tattooed on their wrists, now paint the same tattoo on Peter's body with blood. He is being tortured psychologically so much that he thinks he is getting closer to death every moment. He sees a snake coming out of his panties and enters his mouth when Peter suddenly wakes up and sees it is morning. Everything seems normal, and he realizes that his hand is healthy. Then he comes out of his room and watches the table in his living room, remembering what happened to him. Initially believing that the events of yesterday were a nightmare, he receives a phone call from Kara, who warns him that if he hurts another woman again, this time he will be buried, followed by a sudden burst of flames. He gets scared, then goes downstairs and finds that Rebecca's painting has been replaced by a portrait of the elk he saw earlier on the hill. He then leaves his family estate and repents before God for his past sins. He sees his daughter Riley at his soon-to-be remarried ex-wife's house. He kneels before Riley and tells her that she is precious. He asks her never to let him or any man take her for granted, then apologizes to his ex for his past behavior. Before Peter leaves, an Atlas package delivery woman he's never met greets him as she's checking in for a wedding. Peter sees the same tattoo on her wrist, realizing they watch him every moment. Meanwhile, Kara, Gwen, Marie, Elena, Morgan, and Lilith reunite at the house to celebrate their victory. It turns out that they were not witches, but all of them were tricks to make Peter by scaring him not to repeat his past sins. On the other hand, the relative paralysis that Peter suffered from, as well as the hallucinations that he saw, was due to the soup that Agnes gave him. In fact, her eyes were never visually impaired. At the movie's end, they are all drinking together because of their success.
Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel.